How do you go from being an expert who really knows your stuff to being a thought leader and one who influences your industry? I'm Jen Whitmer, and I help teams and leaders solve conflict and personality clashes. And I have one of my favorite humans on the planet with me today. She is my speaker coach and my friend, and she has taught me so much about the power of communication and the power of becoming a thought leader. Even though I'm still a little bit uncomfortable with that word, I want to bring her on today to help you get some tips to enhancing your executive presence and being a thought leader. Hey,
Yay!
Sally, welcome.
Oh, Jen, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here because
so
I think this is really important. It's a big thing to wrap your head around because you are not alone in having this sort of thought leader feeling. I mean, I get it. I get it.
I know. Sometimes it just feels a little bit like, I don't know. I think I got used to being an expert on a topic, and now I've got to get to be a thought leader. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, expertise is a really important place to start, obviously, right? Like you do actually need to know what it is that you are talking about.
That would be key.
Yes. But here's what doesn't happen when we show up as purely an expert. When we show up as purely an expert and just lean on the information that we have, we miss out on connection with our audience, that human recognition, that exchange, that little magical thing that we experience in it from an audience perspective. And you're like, oh, I feel like that person, I feel like I know that person and that person gets me. And if we want to persuade, if we want to influence, if we want people to come with us, not just admire us from afar, but literally step in with us and come with us, then we have to step into a different place ourselves. That's why I call my company Be Moved, is that we ourselves have to be moved if we want to move our audience. And that movement is into thought leadership. So
that really helps me, actually, because I know we've talked about this a ton. So Sally's been my speaker coach for quite a while. We chat a lot, but I think I haven't heard you phrase it that way. That makes me feel so much more comfortable because I love connection.
Right.
I love connection. And so what I'm hearing you say is the information is, like table stakes. You got to know your stuff.
Yes.
You have to be that thing. But the table stakes isn't, you have to actually come to the table and have that conversation. You know how much I love tables. Yeah. And so you have to be at the table and have the actual conversation. Yeah. And that's where thought leadership connects us to other people.
Yes. Yeah. And it's about leadership ultimately, right? Yeah. Because if we want to lead, we have to be connected to the people that we want to lead.
100%. Right? I say that all the time. Leadership is a relationship business. Yes. And so that's so helpful.
Yes. Now, to me, the part that I completely understand about I know things and I have something, I'm special, I'm a thought leader, and it has kind of this elitist feel to it. But the trick is, because I do want you to say to yourself, I have something to say, and I want to shift the way people are behaving and living and being in the world. That's what we, as speakers, we want to add not just our information, but our perspective. And so offering your perspective and saying, I want to move us in this direction or in this way, that to me is thought leadership. And it is based on connection. And so to do that, we have to show up as fully ourselves, full human beings. And that's the part where people are like, I'm just going to stick with the information, safe zone information.
Well, it feels so comfortable to be able to cite the study. It feels so comfortable because it's like, well, you can't argue with this thing.
Yeah.
Over here, I can stay almost behind the plexiglass at the store right now. It's like, you can't come at me because this is but that's not connection. That's not influence. That's just, here you go.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything.
Yes. So I want to share with you really quickly 3 ideas
Bring
you
it.
need to embrace if you want to step into thought leadership. Or how about, let's even just say, if you want to step out front and influence and persuade.
I love that. Before you share the 3 tips, I have a couple things I want to say. First is, if you are here live, please let us know. Like, tell us in the comments. 2, if you've got questions, drop them in the chat or in the comments, and we will make sure that we either answer them live or come back and answer them. And then 3, I want to just share who this is for. So if you're like, I mean, I can't be a speaker. Why does she have a speaker coach talking about thought leadership? That's not my deal. All of us have to stand up and communicate at some point. We have to stand in front of a person, at least one, if not more, and share this expertise that we have and the connection that's created by thought leadership. I'm getting around to it. And so if you are a leader and you have to share your story to your team, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you have to share your story. So I just want to set the table that if you are somebody who has to influence in any way and you lead, this is for you. Okay. Now give us the tips.
Awesome. Okay. So really importantly, and we've been talking around all these things, but we have to, when we step out front and we want to influence and persuade, we need to lean on stories, embrace stories. Now, especially in the corporate world, some people are like, listen, I don't have time for stories. People don't want to hear my stories. I don't have any stories. I hear that all the time. But when we can embrace the stories of the everyday, what we see around us, and we bring our perspective to those stories, our perspective and our hope. Sorry, my kids just walked in. Bye, have a great day. All right. The 8:00 hour. There's so much happening.
I know. I do.
So our communication really needs to be story-centered, story-driven. So I want everybody listening right now to start seeing with story eyes, is what I call it, to notice those things. And your job then is to offer perspective to that moment, because everybody experiences the same moment in different ways. And so that's thought leadership. Whatever that perspective is that you had, that idea, the aha, that like, why was it meaningful for you? That is something to offer the people who are around you. That is leadership. So we really want to lean in on our stories. Okay.
All right.
So that's number 1.
Stories.
Use stories.
Okay.
Number 2 is to show up imperfectly. How uncomfortable are people?
I think a few people in the comments may freak out about that because I know them. They're like, but wait.
We talked about at the very beginning here that this is really based on connection. Mm-hmm. It's based on this human recognition that we have in each other. We will follow someone who is imperfect. We will. I promise you. We tend to believe that when we have to show up, especially out front in those big moments that feel high stakes, and we're like, I can't screw up. I've got to do it exactly right. My credibility's on the line. We bring all this weight to it. And yes, you need to show up and know what you're doing and be a professional, but you can also show up and be a real human. AKA when your kid comes in and takes the dog out from under your feet in the middle of your life. And now the dog's scratching at the door. Like, we are real human beings. So we need to be real, imperfect human beings with each other. That is part of persuasion.
I love it. So we've got story, and then we have showing up as your full self, imperfection and all.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. I have a really good fellow entrepreneur friend, and her content is amazing. She knows her stuff, but it almost feels unattainable.
Yeah.
Because she's like, it's always perfect.
Yeah.
Like, here's how you do it. And I'm like, I don't think I can do that. Exactly. I don't know if I can get there.
That experience is exactly what I'm talking about. It's alienating.
Yeah. And she's so lovely.
Yeah. And that's not what anybody wants to do. We
Yeah.
want to lead. We want to be, we want to kind of show the admirable path forward and say, like, I did it, and here's how well it went, and here's everything that I've done well. And ultimately, we as an audience go, awesome for you. That is so great for you.
Right.
I don't feel like I can do it.
Yeah.
Versus sharing a little bit more. Now, it doesn't mean you share all. I'm not talking about like pure, like open vulnerability. Because there are boundaries, right? And there's context, and there are, and that is so, so important. There's some things that are just not appropriate at different times.
Yeah, totally.
That still remains true. But there are moments where we can peek in and really see each other, because when we know each other, we trust each other, all kinds of good things happen. You talk about this all the time. And one of those things is influence and persuasion.
Absolutely. So Rachel and Nick and Lauren, who are in the comments, are saying very kind things about me. But I do have to say that I learned how to communicate that from you. Like, I can be who I am, but I didn't know how to tell it as a story that didn't put me at the center, but invited other people in.
Ooh,
like,
that's
you taught me how to do that. I'm not totally the person who's scared to show up imperfectly. I was scared to not be professional.
Yeah.
But you taught me how to put it into a story that said, you can be in here with me too. And I didn't know how to do that before.
That is so important. I like to think of powerful, influential storytelling as two different elements. There's the moment that we're thinking of, the moment we want to tell, and then there's the meaning that we can make of it. That's thought leadership. That's what we're talking about here today. And that meaning point, that meaning part of our story is how we invite people in. It's how we say, here's the place that this sits in my life and your life. And so we find these connection points with other people through that. And it's so important and powerful.
So good. Okay, so we've got story, showing up in perfection. Give us our last tip.
You've got to be willing to be risky.
Okay.
Right?
Risk is one of those words that some people are like, yes, and other people are like, I'm averse.
I know.
I'm going to come back here.
It's true. You're carving a new path when you are leading. And so you need to expect and know that part of the journey is that it takes courage and it's risky. And so courage is one of those words I really like to orient my people around. That when somebody's like, whew, I don't know if I can tell that story. I'm like, guess which one I think you should tell.
I have experienced this, friends.
Yes, right? Because those are the moments that pull people in, not just because we are like humans who are like, oh, drama. Oh, I'm curious, right? There's some tactics there that are very effective, but it truly is about everything that we've been talking about. When we orient ourselves around risk, when we say, I know that this is true and it is right and it is part of my integrity, and we're going to move this way, even though I know not everybody's going to love this, even though it feels really scary and vulnerable. But there is a compass that we are all listening to, this internal compass. And that is that risk, not like risk, like crazy and thoughtless. I mean, that good risk that we feel, that good risk that sort of draws us out, and that we tend to quiet and say, I'm just going to play it safe. I'm sorry, but this kind of communication, especially in the virtual world, we show up safe, nobody cares, right?
We're just talking heads at that point.
Yeah, our message gets lost. And so if you want to show up and persuade, we have to step into that riskier place. It's not easy, and some days are easier than other days. But if we can orient ourselves around these ideas, story, if we can orient ourselves around being fully, authentically human, imperfections and all, if we can orient ourselves around the idea of courage,
yes,
risk, those 3 pieces are going to help you shift from here's what I know to here is who I am and what I believe and why you should come with me.
yes. That's such a good reminder about that risk is what endears us to people as well. Like, it's almost like we're risking for them, because I'm not totally risking for myself. I'm risking this for you. Jonathan Acuff has a really great quote that's like, if you're going to fail at something so spectacularly that people learn something along the way. I mean, I'm messing up his quote, but that idea that if I'm doing this, I'm going to do it at something that it helps other people well. Like, that helps me get over the, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like, it
totally.
Just, like, oh, it's actually down here. You can it's not up here, it's down here. I'm like, I don't know.
But I have to say, some of my absolutely favorite moments of people out front were people who were like, went out and literally was like, whoo, this feels so scary to me right now. And they just brought that out with us because what we were watching them doing was being brave.
Yeah, totally.
And when we witness bravery, we are in their corner. We are cheering them on. We are feeling with them. We are like, I'm following you. I'm going with you. And it's so inspiring.
Yeah. And Annie F. Downs says, when we see brave and we call it out in other people, it makes us brave. Oh. And I think that's what people are in the audience. They're like, oh, they're being brave. Maybe I could do that too. And that brings people along. Sally, you are always a delight. And I think about how much I have learned from you in the Signature Talk Studio and now in your kind of executive mastermind group. And I'm just so grateful for what you have taught me. I feel like you took my little like rocky material and made it something that other people would care about and that helps other people. Yeah. So I'm so grateful for you for that. Can you tell us a little bit about the Signature Talk Studio? We have about 2 or 3 minutes left before I have to go do carpool. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Signature Talk Studio and how it can help us tell stories and be imperfect and be brave.
Wonderful. Yes. So Signature Talk Studio is exactly that. It's a studio for you to develop a signature talk. So if you are passionate about an idea, if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to step out front on behalf of a company and you want to share a message, you need a signature talk. The signature talk is the tool to do that because it's repeatable, scalable, and profitable. And so it is an incredibly powerful growth tool if you develop it intentionally. And so my program helps you develop a signature talk that you can then take with you out into the world and do really powerful, incredible things with. And as Jen has pointed out that I love so much, part of what you get out of that is not just a talk, but you learn a process of creation that puts to work everything that we just talked about.
Life saving. It is. Like, I came into Signature Talk Studio, I don't know if I was not humble, but I'm like, I got to talk. Yeah. It's fine. I didn't have a talk. I had a really great presentation, but I didn't have a signature talk. And
a signature talk done well is all of these things. It is story driven. It is allowing yourself to show up imperfectly for the sake of connection and influence. It is oriented around courage. It's got to really say something. And so I love developing these with people because I watch them shift from where you were exactly, which is like, I have content, I'm out there, I'm already doing my thing, to a different level. And it's so powerful. So,
well, and I had a signature talk that we worked on in the Signature Talk Studio, but the process, I had another booking. Actually, Lauren, who was on this in the comments, booked me for a large women's leadership event. And she was like, I want this topic. And I was like, I totally talk on that topic, but I needed a signature talk about the topic, not just training. And so I took that process and used it for another client and for like a booking that I got. So it's so repeatable. And I just pulled out my stuff and I could work on this. It was, I didn't know how much better it was until I'd done it a different way. And then I'm like, oh, this is so much better. Like, I totally know what I'm doing. And
I love hearing that.
So much better that I could deliver to that audience what was going to be meaningful for them.
Yeah. Once you learn the process, you can create it for yourself on other topics so that you've got a slate of things that you can speak about. But I just want you to know, Jen, part of the reason you have gotten so much out of this, and I love hearing you talk about the results that you have from this program. It is affirming, life affirming. Of course. It's because you showed up and you dove in like you do with everything that you do. So I'm so grateful that you jumped in with me and you took the leap. That's how it starts. You got to take the leap.
You do have to take the leap. So Signature Talk Studio closes today. Is that right?
Tonight. Enrollment closes tonight. So if people want to chat with me directly, please reach out. I'm happy to hop on the phone with you at some point today. You can go to bemoved.com/join to learn more. There's all kinds of good information in there, and I would love to connect with you.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure I put some links in the comments so you can find them as well. It should be, if you're on LinkedIn, in the description, wherever the description is, I feel like Kim now. Like my friends who are in Coffee with Kim, now I totally know why she does that thing. And so it's in the description and you can go there. But Sally is fantastic. You should totally, if you're at least curious, go check it out, because what a Signature Talk can do for you is really transform your business. And I know a few people in the comments who are looking to move up and who have just started businesses. So go check it out. All right, friends.
Thank you, Jen.
Have a great Thursday. Make sure you connect with Sally. Even if you don't do Signature Talk Studio this time around, you should totally connect with Sally. She does all kinds of great training. And you need a Sally in your life. And you just do. You just do. All right, friends. Sally, anything else you want to say before you head out?
Grateful to be here. Grateful to know you, and so excited to continue to see where you launch yourself, Jen.
Oh, you're so kind. I can't wait to see who the next class of Signature Talk Studio people do.
Me too.
It's going to be exciting.
Today's the day.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.